Hey guys, and welcome to the Kurima Podcast, where we talk about business, finance, entrepreneurship, and real estate. I'm your host, Jason Kurima, and I have a very special guest today, Brian Pink. Brian, it's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
So tell me kind of where you're at right now, what you have going on. That way I can kind of have an idea.
That's a good question. So we're currently at 85 doors.
Nice.
And that's for our investment. I'm assuming we're talking just Pink Homes in general, or are we talking specifically investing?
We can talk about all of it.
Okay. So Pink Homes in the bird's eye view, we typically help 8 to 10 clients per month buy or sell a house.
Okay.
And as far as that's our real estate side of things, like real estate agent. Our investment side, we have 85 doors. We have three flips on the market right now in various, like a couple are under contract, ready to close. One's not under contract yet, but we have 3 flips on the market. We have 2 flips in construction to be on the market in the next 2 months. We are about to break ground on a $1.1 million historic build out in Webb City.
Nice.
That is a 14 unit. We'll do historic tax credits on, which is going to be a pretty cool one.
Yeah. Have you ever done any projects like that before?
No, not tax credits. No, this will be the first. So that's a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've got plans. We have 7 vacant lots that we're going to do new construction on. I don't know when yet. We'll probably do 1 or 2 this year. It's probably where we'll end up at. But a big push we're going to have is we're going to build a luxury B&B, destination B&B on Shoal Creek. So that's a big project we'll be doing this year as well.
Is that like a big dream of your guys's, or?
Yeah, I think maybe dream is, I don't know if dream is like the right word. I think it's more of like, I think goal is probably a better word. Like dream to me would be like our personal house. We're going to be taking the roof off and adding a second story and like making it a U because we live on Shoal Creek. So in the back, like if you're in our house looking out the back of our windows right now, it's looking at Shoal Creek, which is a beautiful view. But the house is like a 1955 ranch style that's never been updated. I paid way too much money for this stupid house. But my wife wanted it, so we got it, and it's a beautiful location.
It's amazing how that works, right?
It is amazing. So a dream for us is like rip the roof off, and then like add a second story, make it a U style, have an in-ground pool behind the house. You know, that's dream. Like, so, but this luxury B&B, I guess goals probably like if we love real estate, we're going to invest in real estate. And so it's kind of like, this is a great thing to do as far as real estate investing for what we're doing. Right. And so I think goals probably a better use of it. So, but that kind of is like a snapshot of where Pink Homes is going, is destination B&Bs, you know, local. And so looking at doing a tree house build out, and then also I'm looking at doing, I forget what they're called. They're domes is what they are. Like take a golf ball and chop it in half through the center of it sideways.
Oh.
And then it's like a dome looking thing.
Yeah.
And it has sky views through the top of it.
That's really cool.
And then the front half of it is all window. So I'm looking at doing that. I don't know if we're going to or not. We might just end up doing 2 treehouse build outs. And they're going to be, a cantilever over the bank. So when you're on the deck, you're like looking down in Shoal Creek pretty much. So it's going to be a really cool type of build out like that. So that's kind of where Pink Homes is going, is for a destination style B&B because we have 8 B&Bs already.
Yeah.
And so we really enjoy that aspect of business. We also have, a lot of long-term rentals as well. But we really like the B&Bs. So that's kind of what we're focusing on. So that's kind of a snapshot of where we are. So we're, depending on the week, around 13 employees, I think is where we hover right now. And so that's kind of where we are and where our focus is right now.
Yeah. So do you work with contractors too, or do you just have your own crews in house?
Yeah, that has been a sore subject for 4 years now. So I've tried it various ways. I've tried in-house crews, I've tried subs, I've tried GCs. Like every single one of them produces their own problems. Like the in-house employee or the in-house crew is supposedly going to be better. Like you can control it more. Supposed to be cheaper, supposed to be more time conscious. In actual practice, it doesn't seem to work that well for me. And I'm very much a manager. I'm not a micromanager, but I'm a manager. So like I have calls every single day for each arm of business in Pink Homes. So real estate, as an agent, I have a call in the morning with my team that lasts 30 minutes to 45 minutes. And then I have a call for an hour to an hour and a half every day for my management team of my short-term rentals, my long-term rentals, and my construction manager.
Wow.
And so I am very much involved and knowing the details and also giving kind of like workflow. And so if at the end of the day, it's frustrating for me because I don't feel like our in-house crew is doing what they should be doing, at least on the Missouri side of business. The Kansas side works well, but the Missouri side struggles, and I don't have an answer for that, because it's like, well, gosh, man, like you would think you could just get in and rock and roll, like painting a room. It doesn't take much time at all, I'm not God's gift to painting, but I can paint a room really quick, and I haven't seemed to hire the right people, I guess, to do that. So I don't know if it's a manpower issue, if it's a leadership issue or what, but it has been an issue for sure for construction. I mean, lots and lots of turnover in the construction world. And I talk to a lot of business owners in the same position. I think it's just part of being an entrepreneur. Yeah. Like you just have employee issues no matter what you do.
Yeah.
So then I swing to the other side. I'm like, all right, well, I'm just going to sub everything exclusively out. And then you have the same problem with subs, them not showing up or not doing their job or like not being quality. And then you're paying more price for it. And then I'm like, well, gosh, maybe it's me as a manager. Maybe I'll just pay a GC to do it. And pay them 10 to 15% to have the headache.
Yeah.
And then it's the same problem.
Yeah.
It's
you
not
still have to
done.
manage the GC too.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's not getting done. It's expensive. So I don't have an answer. But currently what we're doing is in-house crews, and I am actually in the process of subbing some things out.
Okay.
That's currently where my headspace is.
Yeah.
Ask me in a month and I'll be a different spot, I'm sure, because it's constant evolving issue in my business.
So do you have like a goal of how many people you want, or like do you have an idea of like how many people it's going to take to get you where you want to go?
As far as a crew?
Yeah.
Not really.
Okay.
I've definitely changed some of my goals because I used to have a push for a certain door count. Like, my first year I wanted 50 doors. Second year I wanted 100 doors, and I didn't get, I ended up getting over 50 doors my first year. And then I didn't plan for how much chaos that would cause for the infrastructure of actual, like I didn't plan.
Like manpower and all that?
I didn't plan for stability either, right? So I am amazing at getting deals, great at getting deals. And I did not execute very well because I then had houses sitting for 2 years not getting done because I had so many houses to turn. And so my idea was I'll just hire an in-house crew. They'll just go house to house to house to house to house.
Yeah.
And I didn't plan on as many people as we had to fire or they quit or whatever. And so manpower has been a constant issue. So now the metric isn't really like total number of doors. I think for me, the metric in business is actually a net profitability per month.
Mm-hmm.
And so stabilization is actually a bigger focus that I'm working on now. I'm not trying to actively add to my portfolio at all. I'm only trying to stabilize what I have.
Yeah.
And that has taken longer than I expected because my business model was buying the really, really bad houses and turning them and then burning them out. And it takes way longer than you expect.
Yeah.
And so, as a byproduct, we had houses sitting for way too long. I still do. I've got 2 projects that have been sitting for 2 years almost.
Wow.
No, not 2 years. Is it? Yeah, a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
By the time they'll be finished up, it'll be a year and a half of sitting, which is crazy, right?
Yeah.
But I had other projects that took priority. So I'm not trying to find any more projects. Sometimes the projects find me and I'm like, gosh, I have to buy that, either buy it and keep it or flip it or wholesale it or whatever you want to call it. Yeah. But I'm not trying to actively buy anymore until we get fully stable on the projects we have.
So do you regret that at all, like growing so fast, or are you glad you did? Like, it sounds like it's a great problem to have, but it's no matter what, when you have problems, it's still frustrating.
First world problems for sure. Right. I don't regret growing as fast as I did. I do regret not having my systems in place. And I don't know how to counsel somebody how to get their systems in place because I'm kind of the guy who's like, all right, well, I got my real estate license. All right, I'm jumping in. I'm full time, right? That's very rare that people can actually do that and succeed or even pay their bills. But that's kind of my MO. It's like just jump in, get it done. I'm going to figure it out.
Yeah.
So I didn't know that I needed a system until I got into the mix of it. I'm like, oh my gosh, I need a system.
Yeah.
And so now it's been fine tuning that system. I wish I would have had a better system, but even if I had all the time in the world, I don't know if I would have gotten it done first. Because it's like just take action and then you get your system in place.
Yeah, that's how I am too.
And I don't know if it's the right answer, but I feel like that's the right answer for me, because it's like necessity versus you can kind of like, what do they call it when you analyze?
Analysis paralysis.
Yes, analysis paralysis. Like that could totally be me because that's my personality type, and I'm not doing that anymore. It's like, all right, jump in, analyze the deal. It's a good deal. Okay, we're gonna make it happen, and then we're gonna figure it out. And so I don't regret growing as fast as we did. I do regret not knowing how much of a system issue I had though. So I don't know if that answers the question. Yeah. But now that I'm grown as fast as we did, we got to, really 85 doors or 84, really 90 doors because I've, flipping stuff or whatever. In like 2 years, that's a pretty quick pace.
Yeah.
And I could have hit 100 doors my second year, but I was like, well, why hit 100 doors if 30 of them are sitting vacant? Like, doesn't even make sense.
Yeah.
Right.
Then you're just creating more problems, like cash problems.
Right? And so now it's like stability. And so that's kind of been my focus is that. So having a number of guys, to answer your question in a long roundabout way, having a number of guys, like, I don't really know what that looks like because I don't really have a numbers goal now as far as unit count. I have a stability goal.
Yeah.
And then once we get all these things turned, at that point I can say, okay, well, first of all, do I like doing this? Do I get enjoyment from it? And if I don't, then I just won't buy any more flips, right? Or if I'm going to do a burr, it's going to be one project at a time. When I get that project done, I've got enough maintenance things to keep people busy until I get another project, you know? So I think I'm at the point now where we're pretty stable, where I can actually pick and choose those projects I really like, which is the luxury B&B destination thing. I really enjoy that. I've also got some themed ideas that I want to do, which I won't put out in the universe until I have a patent on it. But I've got really some themed things I want to do in Joplin, which is going to be freaking awesome. Like so cool. But I got to get all these projects off my list first, And so it's those fun things that like really give me joy and energy that I want to put my time into. Right now, everything's kind of a time suck because I'm like, guys, just get the stupid sheetrock done. Let's get the house on the stinking market. Let's go. Like, I just want to flip this stupid thing. Let's go. Right. Where I want to be like, hey, this is this luxury tree house. like I'm going to analyze the nth degree out of this glass because I want to know what insulation properties it has, or is it tinted or whatever. Like I'll geek out on that kind of stuff because I enjoy it, and the finished product is going to be amazing. Yeah. But right now my time is sucked up by saying, can we please just like, let's lay carpet or something. Let's do something, you know? Yeah. So that's kind of where hopefully that makes sense. Yeah. You know,
I've had some similar problems, but like, especially when it comes to systems, but I recently hired someone that's like crazy good with systems and organization, and like with my ADHD brain, it just doesn't work for me. So I'd say like finding that right person that can help you organize it. That helped me the most probably.
Yeah. And the challenge is I'm the guy. Yeah. Right. That is my personality type. Oh, really? And that poses a problem because I have a million other things to do too. Yeah. So I guess maybe that reinforces your suggestion. Maybe I should just hire that out.
I don't know.
That's
I mean, I'm in the same boat. Like I have so many
CEO? Things. Like, what do you call that person?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, are you hiring a CEO?
Not exactly. It's just like my assistant's just really good at organizing things. So she's helping. Like I'm like, hey, I want this to be more of a system. Can you help come up with ideas on what we should be doing? Sure. And she's like, yeah, just let's do this. And then it's in her personality type to just have a really quick, witty idea, and it's like the right idea. So that's been like a game changer, and she's only been working with us for like a couple weeks now.
Do you know personality types very well?
Yeah. So
are you color, or what do you do?
I'm ENTJ on the Myers-Briggs.
That's like the only ones I don't know. Like I know every other type of.
I don't really mess with the other ones, so I don't know. So
you don't know colors very well, or?
I can't. I don't know what that is.
That's fine. I don't know what my Myers-Briggs is. Yeah. I'm not sure.
16personalities.com. That's a great one to find.
So many personalities to keep up with, though.
Yeah.
It's true. Like, I want the quick. So for those listening, you probably already figured it out if you know colors. Like, I'm a red, which is it's called choleric, which is a driver personality. I want to get the stuff, and I want to get it done, and I want to get it done now, right? I'm a very, like, impatient is probably a good use of that as well. So I'm like, get me the quick and dirty. I don't want to spend time learning 16 personality types. If I can learn 4 and that gets the job done, I just want to learn 4, right?
That's what that one is. It's 4, right? And is that the same one that you like have your driver, your passenger, your 4-year-old, and your 6-year-old?
Oh, no, I've not heard that one.
Okay.
It's basically, if you look at colors, it's red, which is choleric, which is driver personality. Blue is a melancholy, which is a really detailed, analytical personality. So I'm a red-blue. So I'm very much a driver, and I'm super analytical and super detail-oriented and organized, right? That's my personality type. And then you have a yellow, which is very external, like flashy, showy, like wants to be the center of attention, really fun-oriented, goal-driven. Their goal is to have fun. That's their whole deal. So that's a yellow. They're also very prone to being unorganized. So you're a yellow.
That sounds like a yellow.
You're a yellow. Yeah. And then there's a green. The green is a phlegmatic personality type, and they are a very much, I don't mean this derogatorily, but they're fantastic employees because they're kind of like a yes sir type of person. They want rules, and they're dominated by peace. So anything they can do to keep the peace, which is your wife, she's motivated by peace, right? So whatever version of anything gets peace, that's what she's going to do. And they're also not super goal oriented. I don't mean this negatively, but they're the kind of people that they would rather sit on a couch, right? They're just kind of chill. So that's a green personality or phlegmatic. So you have 4 personality types, and then you have a dominant and a secondary. So you can basically have, of those 4, you can have 8 types of personalities. So
I would say my second's probably red. Would you agree? Or?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. You're a yellow red. So you're driven by fun and enjoyment of that category, but then you're also goal oriented. You're not detail oriented. You're like, I don't give a hoot about details. Just give me the big picture and let's move. Yeah. Right. That's what. So you really needed a blue, which I'm assuming that person you hired is a blue or a melancholy. Yeah. Super, super detail oriented and like doesn't really care so much about goals so much unless she's a blue-red, but really, really detail-oriented and really organized. And that's what you really need to offset yourself, which sounds like you got that person. Yeah. The problem when you have a red-blue, which is what I am, other reds clash. So if you have a really strong personality type and you hire somebody else who's a really strong personality type, you're going to clash, right? So that's a challenge. It is what it is, right? Yeah. So what I really need is a blue green, because the blue personality would be really organized and detail oriented, and the green would be driven by peace, so they wouldn't necessarily butt heads so much with me. Not that I'm pretty easygoing, but you know.
When you make your hiring decisions, do you usually look for that?
Absolutely. Okay. I make everybody go through a personality test. Every single person, because the job description really has a personality type assigned to it, and if that person doesn't fit that personality type, I'm not even looking at their application. And I know that sounds crazy, but I've been through this enough to where I already know. If I hired you to be a CPA, I would be the most frustrated person in the world, right?
Yeah, you would.
And I already know that. So if I've got an applicant who's a yellow and they're applying for a position that needs detail-oriented numbers, I'm like, dude, you are not the right. I can already tell you're going to be very frustrated with this position, you know? And so we've learned to not hire bad personality types for that specific job. There's not a good personality type or bad one, right? But there are jobs that fit specific people. Yeah. So that's something I've learned.
Yeah. So which one did you say is I think it's green. Is that, like, if a green wanted to go out and be an entrepreneur, is that the one that is really good at taking orders, like do this, yes sir, kind of thing?
Yeah, that's a green person.
What would you say, what's like advice that you'd give someone that's a green that wants to be an entrepreneur?
Oh gosh, that is a great question, because it's, well, so first of all, I would say if a true green personality wants to be an entrepreneur, they're probably not a green personality, truly. They may be a yellow green, or they may be a blue green, but they're probably not a straight green personality type, right? So, but every personality type has, so if you look at, you know, you can't see this if you're not watching the video, but if you look at the quadrants, and your upper left will be yellow, your upper right would be red, lower right is blue, and lower left is green. So if you take your green in this example, your personality types will never go diagonal. They will only go up or to the side. Yeah. So your green can swing from red. Your green can swing from yellow or blue, but they will never be red. Okay. Unless there's trauma, which that's a whole other thing. But, so you would have a yellow personality type that's dominant that could be secondary red or could be secondary green. That person could be an entrepreneur for sure, right? They're probably going to be more naturally gravitate towards being an entrepreneur because they have, yellows have ambition, right? Green's ambition, they do have ambition, but remember their ambition is peace. They don't want to be the center of attention. They definitely don't want to lead a crew. They don't want to be a leader of any capacity. Now, the irony is they make one of the best leaders you could possibly ask for. But they don't want the limelight, and they don't want to be a leader. So if you're a blue-green or if you're a yellow-green and you want to be an entrepreneur, then you're going to have that secondary personality trait of like go with the flow and not drive and not, you know, you might have, I don't mean this negatively, but you might be slightly on the lazier side of things because you're just not as motivated. Then I would say what you need to do is hire a red in your business. And so you need a red in your business if you don't have a red, because they're the drivers. They're going to go out and they're going to conquer the world. And if you have a red that buys into your vision, oh my gosh, there's no stopping this person, right? Yeah. You need a red. And then the opposite's true. I'm a red. I don't necessarily need another red. I would love all the reds in the world as long as they could stick with me, you know. That's sometimes hard. But the red has to really yield to your leadership, which is one of their good traits is they don't yield very well, you know, because they're very headstrong and they're going to do their thing, which is also a bad thing if you're trying to get a red to listen to you, because they won't listen, you know. But if I'm a red and I need something to fill my business, I really probably need more greens in my life to kind of go with the flow. And if I set a work order to fulfill the work order, if that makes sense. But if you're a green and you're an entrepreneur, you probably need to hire out the red, but you still need to be the big picture thinker and say, this is where I want the business to go, Mr. or Miss Red personality type. How do we get there? And then just let them do their thing with some sort of constraints, like metrics to measure. We call them OKRs, but objective and key responses. So as long as you give the red personality type some metrics and some things that you're going to hold accountable, then that's what I would suggest to those personalities.
Yeah. That's really, I mean, man, that's like, I felt like subconsciously there was something to do with tying personalities and stuff, but I never really thought about it nearly as deeply as you have. So when did you start implementing that in your business to really look at that? Was it like right when you started it, or? So
I've known about personalities for a very long time. I started my first business when I was 18. You know, network marketing, Amway, way back in the day. Freaking loved it because I didn't make any money, but I loved the education I got from learning how to run a business. And then I started a car wash business, and then I started like buying and reselling, and just kind of this evolution of things. But I've known about personalities for a long time. It wasn't until I started hiring actual W-2 employees that I realized the need for, oh my gosh, like that was a disaster. Why was that such a bad employee? And it was not that they were bad people. They were a terrible fit for that position. And then I learned, okay, I need to screen these people better and say, well, what is the position I need? And what type of personality is actually that position? Right. And then once I know that, then I can screen the people out way faster.
Okay.
And so it wasn't until I hired some people that were just terrible fits that I realized why. And it's because I was expecting a green to be a red, or I was expecting a yellow personality who's not detail oriented at all to be a detail oriented, you know, organized person. Well, of course that's going to be frustrating. It's going to be frustrating for me. It's going to be frustrating for that yellow personality, because they're like, I don't care about numbers. Well, that's what you were hired to do. Well, that's a bad fit. Right. And so I learned that by trial and error, really. And then also reading the book Traction was a big deal in my business, going through that and learning there's something called, you know, right seat, wrong bus, or wrong bus or wrong seat, right bus. So if I've got a yellow personality type, they're a great employee, terrible position. I'm going to try to find a position for that person, right? They're on the right bus. Pink Homes is the right bus for this person. But
they're in the wrong position.
They're in the wrong seat for sure. We need to find them a better spot. Or this is the right seat. You are a wrong person for the Pink Homes bus completely. You're not a bad person. You just don't fit what Pink Homes is, and you need to go thrive somewhere else, right? And that happens, and that's okay. It doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it wrong. It's not a good fit. So, I started implementing that.
Okay. What about company culture? Do you have a big emphasis on what your culture should look like, where you want it to go, or like, let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. That's part of the book Traction, is actually figuring out your cultures and your core values and that kind of thing. So we definitely have core values, and it's a big deal. I make everybody look at our core values before I hire them, and I go through them, and I also I ask them what it means to them, and then I tell them what it means to Pink Homes. You know, transparency is a big thing for Pink Homes. So transparency and accountability, it's actually not the same line item. It's two different line items. So transparency, and then there's accountability. So I am a big believer in transparency, and I mean that in a good and bad way. So if I'm having a hard day, I'm going to be pretty transparent. If I'm not happy with the way you're performing, I'm going to not in a barking, like, oh my gosh, you're a screw up attitude, but I'm going to be able to come to you and say, hey, I just gotta be honest. Like, this was super frustrating for me. Like, I expected this done by this timeline, but you and I had a conversation about this and it's not being met, and it's super frustrating. Right. And likewise, if they're expecting something from me as a leader, like I'm the CEO, I'm the owner, or whatever you want to call me, and I'm not doing something for them, they have the same ability to come to me and say, Brian, like, I'm so frustrated with you right now, and I'm not going to take it hard. Right. Because this is a company core value for Pink Combs. Accountability is huge as well. Like, I should be able to set a goal, and you and I both agree that this is the goal, this is the timeline, this is what the product is going to look like at the end. And if that is not met, I for sure would be holding you accountable, right? And the same thing for me as the owner and the leader. If I set things in place and I say this is where we want to be, they're going to hold me accountable just the same. Yeah. So culture is massive, and like right seat and right bus is a big deal in any business that you're growing. If you have a bad person on your bus, oh my gosh, it's like cancer. It's like gangrene. It's just going to spread, and you're going to have to chop off the limb eventually, and they're going to kill some other, people or cells in the process. Like it's, if you got a toe that needs amputated and let it go long enough, now you're going to have to amputate from the knee, right? Yeah. And now you just lost a shin and an ankle where you could have just lost one toe. Just get rid of the person, right? Don't let them spread their cancer everywhere else. That's a massive issue. And it's something that I'm not great at. It's funny because I'm a red personality. So reds typically are the people who are like hair trigger tempers, and they explode, and they're like a grenade, and then they screw everything up because they explode. Well, I'm not that way. Jesus has changed my life, which thank you, Lord. So I'm actually super patient now, and that's actually kind of been a bad thing because I've held on to people too long when I should have fired them a long time ago. Yeah. And so that's something I've had to learn too, is like, dude, this is cancer. Like, your attitude is crazy out of line, and if you don't change it, you're going to be fired. Yeah. Like that, you have to be able to do that as a business owner. You just do. Yeah. So that's part of our culture. And I feel like if I can screen, it's almost like you scare somebody out of their position first. Like, I want to tell you how crappy this job is. Like, your job is going to be sitting down on the phone for 8 to 10 hours a day and calling hundreds of people that you don't know over and over and over. And they're going to cuss you out, and they're going to scream at you, and they're going to call you everything but a good person in the book. And then you're going to do it on the next call, and the next call, and the next call, and the next call. And then guess what? The next call, right? Yeah. For 5 days a week, this is your job. And I want that person to be like, I don't want that job, because I don't want to take.
You want them to eliminate themselves.
Absolutely. Yeah. I don't hold anything back when I'm interviewing somebody, because I don't want a warm body. I want something that's going to thrive, because the red yellow personality type, when I explain that to them, they're like, heck yes, let's go. Right. They want that job. Like a red, heck yeah, sign me up. I'm going to show you how good I am. I'm going to show you that they're not going to do that to me. Yeah. Right. A green, no way. Yeah. A blue, no way. They're not going to do that job. And I don't want them to do that job. Right. So I want to scare them away from the position. And if they don't get scared away, they can go to the next step. But I really don't want just anybody. You know what I mean? Like, you have to be super picky. And that's kind of one of my issues has been for construction, is that we haven't really scared enough people away to find the really good ones. Instead, what I did was I hired anybody with a heartbeat who said they could swing a hammer, and found out very quickly they're holding the hammer from the wrong side, And but they had 3 years experience, right? Or so they said, So that's just kind of, I guess that's the ebbs and flows of learning how to run a business better. Hiring is a big deal.
Yeah, absolutely.
So.
One of the things that we did in our business, like me and Haley just have done this and basically replicated it over and over. So we find the right person for the job, and then we work really hard in a business in the beginning find the right person for the job, hire them, and then just let them do their thing.
Right.
And we've done that over and over and over. And that's kind of what I feel like has made us successful, is because we've leveraged other people's skills to do a really good job and, you know, finding the right people to do it. They can do it better than I can.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of what we've done.
Yeah. And that's been the biggest issue is I'm not able to find that part in the construction side.
Yeah.
You know, it's a hard position to fill.
Mm-hmm. And lately, actually, I've been thinking about this a lot, is like, I don't really like managing contractors as much anymore. Like, I mean, I only have a couple of them, so it's not that bad, but it's getting to the point where I'd rather just hire someone else eventually
That's where I'm at too.
To like manage my contractors for me.
That's exactly where I'm at, honestly, because I mean, frankly, with Pink Homes, if, you know, as a real estate company, you know, we're closing, you know, 1 million to 2 million a month. Mm-hmm. There's no reason that I have to skimp by. Mm-hmm. And the only reason you do it at the very beginning is to save money, and hopefully you get a better product as well. Yeah. Well, at this point, it's like I might save myself 15 to 20%, maybe if I do a great job managing. Mm-hmm. But what is that 15 to 20% costing me?
Yeah. Opportunity cost is everything.
A lot of opportunity, and my mental health. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I can't even tell you how frustrated I am with construction all the time. Yeah. And I don't want to be that guy, right? Just hire somebody else to do it, you know? So what I did was I have endeavored to hire a project manager, and I am training him up to replace me, and then all the headache is his. Yeah. And then all I have to do is my daily OKR, which takes maybe 15, 20 minutes for him. Yeah. And that's all I have to do with construction. And that's much more manageable for me. Yeah. And I'm happier.
And is it necessary to have that many calls a day? Or do you think you could scale back to have eventually like maybe 2 calls a week and then eventually down to 1? Or do you think it's like a learning curve? Eventually it'll like get easier?
The reason I'm doing it this way is so I can teach them how I want them to think about business. Okay. How to prioritize. So we have, you know, an example would be, I'm the property manager, and my yearly goal is blank. My quarterly goal is blank. My monthly goal is blank. My weekly goal is blank. Mm-hmm. And then we say that at the very beginning of the calls, and then we go through a preset list of questions. My occupancy is this. I have this many work orders. I have this many vacant units. I have this one that's coming up for rent. I have this many, we have HUD units. So we call them IRs and ARs, which is lingo for HUD properties. I have this many IRs due in 60 or 90 days coming up. I have this many ARs due. So I have just all these checklists of metrics that we're keeping track of, so we stay on top of our business. But I'm doing that daily so I could teach them, this is how you prioritize your business. Mm-hmm. Like your business is, you're a property manager. This is your role. So now that we've done this long enough, my Kansas side of business is self-sufficient. I don't have to do anything. I still do it daily. It takes 30 minutes for them. And it's also an opportunity for them to get around the entire Pink Homes management team, which is synergy, which I really appreciate. Yeah. So we do 30 minutes with Charles and Heather, which is our Kansas managers. And then at 9:30, I have my short-term rental manager and my Missouri construction manager get on the call. So it's my wife and all of our managers. And then we all do 2 things. Each one of us does a personal gratitude, and the second one we do is a business win for yesterday.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so and then we do a time of prayer. It's super important for our business. So every day we're practicing gratitudes. We're also practicing goal setting and also reciting what our goal is. And I think that's valuable for anybody in whatever your goal is. I think you should say it out loud every day. Mm-hmm. My quarterly goal is blank. My yearly goal is blank, right? And it kind of sets your focus and your mind on that thing, you know?
So do you believe in manifesting, or would you call it that?
Yeah, I wouldn't call it manifesting, because I don't, from a theological position, I think that's garbage. I know that probably ruffles feathers, but I don't think you can manifest something from a theological perspective. I do think there is something to be said about putting it out there, like, I will be such and such by this date, and that makes you work towards it.
Like intention.
Is that what you would call it, it's intentionality.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think that if I was trying to manifest, we talked about Lambos earlier. If I said I'm going to have a Lamborghini, I don't think by me saying I'm going to have a Lamborghini that that's going to give me a Lamborghini. I think that when I say, when I have 100 doors, I'm going to buy a Lamborghini, then I'm going to do the work to get 100 doors.
Yeah.
So I probably went in the weeds a little bit. So from a theological perspective, I would totally disagree. It's not manifesting. If you want to talk about from a business perspective of how people just naturally do things, if you say, like me personally, I'm on my way down to 200 pounds and a certain percent body fat, because I'm trying to be healthier. So if I say I'm going to be 200 pounds at 12% body fat, but yet I'm eating Big Macs at night, something's not right.
Yeah.
You know, so I think whenever I'm saying it verbally out loud, I'm also reprogramming my brain to say, hey, Brian, like, you're not the kind of guy who eats Big Macs, right? You're a lean, healthy, fit person. Yeah. So I think I'm reprogramming my brain. So maybe that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. So my personal take on it was, I struggled a lot with, like, I believe there was truth in manifesting. Like, I believe that you can have the things that you want, and the process of, like, what manifesting is. But I also was conflicted because, like, as a Christian, like, I felt like manifesting isn't, like, I don't know if, like, it was bad. It just didn't seem right to me. Yeah. So my conclusion on it, which I still might be wrong, is that God created manifestation or whatever. But, you know, like, you'd probably disagree with that. But that's kind of what I came to think, at least. Yeah.
So theology, this is actually a big deal for me, because my wife and I are actually in the process of changing church fellowships. The one we were going to is no longer around. So we've been church shopping. I hate even saying that, but it's true. It's what it is, I guess. But so I've actually been digging into this more, because one of the churches we went to, like, totally goes off the rails on that kind of stuff. So from a theology perspective, God is absolutely holy, absolutely sovereign, and is, you know, worthy of everything, right? God is not a trick pony or a carrot that we call on to says, I want a Lamborghini, and he's going to poof give you a Lamborghini. Yeah. You know, so if we maintain the theology of God is holy, all important, then I don't think manifesting fits in that, right? I do think that manifesting, if you want to call it manifesting, is goal setting. And then when you set your goal, you also set your metrics on, I'm going to have a Lamborghini. What do I need to do to achieve a Lamborghini? Okay, well, I'm going to make up 100 doors. Okay, when I have 100 doors, I'll have a Lamborghini. Well, what do I need to do to get 100 doors? Well, now I need to have phone calls. How do I make the phone calls? What list do I pull? Am I driving for dollar? Like, now you can, so you set the goal, and now you're setting the daily actions that you're going to go do the thing. Yeah. Because if you manifest from what I understand some Christians saying, is I'm just going to pray about it and God's just going to bring me a Lamborghini. Well, I think that's a life on the pit of hell, at all. Yeah. Right? Yeah. You got to work to get there. Now, here's the thing. We're first world problems, and we're Christians in the United States of America. We're not talking about Asia. They're not going to get a Lamborghini, right? Maybe they will, maybe they won't. But we have a better shot in America because we're blessed to be in America. Yeah. So we have the freedoms to even put the action forward. Yeah. So the manifesting to me from a spiritual level is not, or theologically is not true, but God does give us the opportunities to work, you know? And so I think it's more properly put as setting the goals and then implementing the steps to get that goal, you know? And you have a way better shot getting a Lambo when you say every day, I'm going to have a Lamborghini, versus you don't put any plan in place, right?
Absolutely.
So that's kind of my take on it.
I love that. I think I agree with everything you said.
Yeah.
So in my posts and everything with Facebook, I usually use the hashtag believe in yourself. So what does believe in yourself mean to you?
Yeah, that's a great question. So believe in yourself. I'm kind of back and forth on that one. So I absolutely believe in my ability and myself. So zero doubts, and maybe that's arrogant too. But I totally believe that what I put my hand to will be successful, right? And that's not because of some skill set that I have either. I think that God has just blessed my life tremendously, and I have zero apologies for that. And so I do believe in myself, in my ability to be resilient. And so, but I don't take it to be like, believe in yourself. If you just believe in yourself, you can get whatever you want, because, not everybody may have that ability, right? Somebody who's in a wheelchair, believe in yourself. Now you want to walk, they might not walk, right? So is that like a blanket statement that everything's going to be successful and hunky-dory? Well, maybe not, So believe in yourself. I do think it's super important to believe that you have the capacity if you want to put in the work to do the thing, right? And I don't think, like when Jesus said, a house divided against itself won't stand. You can't be a double-minded person, right? So you can't in one breath say, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, and then the very next thing you have doubt, and you're like, gosh, I'm just never going to get there. Like something has to win. You're either going to believe that you're going to be able to do it, or you're believing that you won't be able to do it. And so believe in yourself. I think if you're focusing on the positive things, like I'm going to be able to do this and I can, and I'm an overcomer and all this kind of thing, I think that's a pretty good thing to say, you know? So that's kind of my take on it.
Oh, I love that. So I met you probably maybe 2 to 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And you were around that time, I think you were in real estate for maybe a year or two. So you've been in real estate for what, like around 4 years now?
Yeah, kind of. So I got licensed, I want to say it was 2018. Is that right? Yeah, okay. 2018. It was July of 2018.
Okay.
And then I worked as an agent for 6 months. I set the record for Keller Williams for the fastest new agent to cap, which basically means to become full 100% commission. At that point in my life, I was also trying to grow my investment portfolio, and I was used to making a lot of money as a welder. And when I went to real estate, granted I set the record, but I wasn't making enough for what I was used to making. And so I was an agent for 6 months, and I took a year and a half off of real estate, and I went back to welding. Wow. To make more money so I could actually do the investing I wanted to do. And so technically I have been licensed since 2018, but really only been practicing for 4 years, basically.
Yeah.
So that kind of answers the question there.
Yeah. So, and then maybe go back to like, you're out of high school, then what did you do and kind of go up to where you are now?
Gosh, such a long time ago. I'm so old now, right? So got out of high school and started network marketing at Amway. That was a fun experience. I was working at a factory in Joplin, ironically, as a parts loader, and I saw the welders messing around at nighttime. I'm like 17. I graduated high school early. So I saw the welders screwing off at night, and I was like, gosh, I want to be a welder. They don't do any work hardly, And so I ended up teaching myself how to weld on my lunch breaks.
Wow.
And I passed the welding test, and it wasn't really welding. I guess they called themselves welders, but now that I actually went through school and did real welding, that was not welding. But anyway, I passed that. So then I became a welder. And then from there, got laid off a couple different times because it was that business lost their contract with John Deere, blah, blah, blah. So then I went into call center. I was then a telemarketer for sales, which is great for my personality type. Outbound, That taught me how to be really thick-skinned. So to take no's really well and just to bounce back and just keep pushing through. I was top salesman almost every single job that I was at, from call centers. I was usually at least number 2, most of the time number 1 per month. And then from there, I went to a different type of job, which was research, like private investigator type of stuff. I also forgot to mention, like during that time of being a call center guy, they were doing, I guess, reduction of hours, like involuntarily, like you were working 40 hours now. Hey, you only get to work 20. Mm-hmm. And so during that point in time, I stood up from the call center desk when they told me I had to leave early for the day. And I was like, hey guys, I just started a mobile detail business. Anyone need their cars detailed? And of course, I've never detailed a car in my life, but I just thought, well, gosh, man, like if I could just like clean some cars for $80, like at that point, I wasn't making that much money, and so my supervisor's like, yeah, actually I do want my car detailed. And do you do ceramic wax as well? I was like, absolutely I do. And so
that's awesome.
I think I charged like $80. Right.
Yeah.
And, but I told my supervisor, I said, I will absolutely do that, but I need to charge you up front because I gotta go buy the material. So I used the $80 to buy all my material, profited, maybe $30 or something. Mm-hmm. And then started a mobile detail business at that point in time. And started getting some customers that way. I don't remember what the time frame was, but I got enough gusto going that I called the Joplin US or the USPS, the United States Postal Service, right? I called the postmaster and I said, hey, I saw all these little, like your trucks driving around town. Like, who do you have that cleans those? And who would I talk to make a bid? He's like, well, ironically enough, we're out for bid right now. Would you like to make a bid?
No freaking way. That's crazy.
And I said, I would love to make a bid.
And how old were you at this point? Around
20.
Dang.
Yeah, I was 20. And so I talked to the postmaster. He's like, yep, well, tell me your bid. And I don't remember what I said. It was like $55 or something per truck.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, well, I forget. I'm making numbers up. This is not legit. So just, put that out there because the post office is going to hear this. Oh my gosh. But I forget what they said. It was like $12 or $15 or something like that per truck and not 55, right? I was like way off because I didn't know what I was doing. Yeah. He's like, but he liked me for whatever reason, or maybe he just took advantage of me. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe it's both. And so he's like, well, hey, we can't do it for that, but I tell you what, if you can do it for this, we'll do it. And I said, sure. And so I got the post office contract as this 20-year-old kid, not licensed or bonded at that point in time. I had to figure that out later. Didn't have the ability to get paid either. There's a certain card you have to get. I forget what it's called now. It's not a green dot card, but it's something like that where you have to get licensed in their system, verified. Your business has to be verified to get paid. Well, I didn't have a verified business. So the post office master had to actually help me get verified to get paid. It was just crazy ordeal. Yeah. So I did that at 20.
But hey, you did it. You took action and then you figured it out.
I just did it, right? Yeah. And then I didn't have a pressure washer. I didn't have any equipment. So I was actually it's so silly. I would drive to the post office, pick up the truck, drive to a car wash, pay my quarters and spray out this car or this truck, drive it back, and did that. And I think they had 50 trucks or something because there's 2 locations, and then I ended up figuring out, this is not worth my time. I need to hire somebody. Mm-hmm. So then I hired a friend to go do that, and I took a cut, and he took a cut, and everyone was happy. Mm-hmm. And so I was doing that in the time frame as well of like call center work. And then I became a call center manager for a local company. It's no longer in business now. And then went into private investigating. All the while, my goal was always real estate. Mm-hmm. I just didn't have the knowledge and I didn't have the money, or so I thought, to invest in real estate. So at 25 years old, I was talking to a friend of mine. He was in Hawaii welding, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I make like $3,500 a week." And I was like, "Okay." I told my wife, I said, "All right, Emily, I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to go to welding school, and we're going to go for 4.5 months, and then we're going to go hit the road welding." Now, this is time in our life where my wife was a stay-at-home mom. We just had my daughter, and we hadn't just had my daughter. She was about a year or so old, year and a half, somewhere around there. And my wife was pregnant with my son. And so I quit my job welding. I quit my job to go to welding school full time, and then went on the road welding, because my grandiose idea was, if I went to welding, I could make enough money. I could work 6 months a year, and then I could take 6 months off and do real estate and also do music, which is a big passion of mine. And so I did that for welding, and we ended up, I had a 5-year plan for welding. So we traveled in a 40-foot fifth wheel and lived in it full time, and traveled all over the U.S. welding for 8 years.
Oh, wow.
My 5-year plan turned into 8 years.
And so is your oldest your daughter?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
okay.
She's 11.
So she would probably been 8 or 9, probably 9 years old or so whenever you finished?
When we finished, yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And so we did that. My 5-year plan turned into 8. And at that point in time, we tried homeschooling in the fifth wheel. It was impossible for my wife to do it. My daughter is very much like me. She's super stubborn. So she wouldn't listen or learn. And so we had to we ended up putting my daughter in College Heights. Well, both my kids go to College Heights now. And so at that point in time, I had just gotten my real estate license a year earlier, because I was like, I'm going to go into real estate because I just need to make money to be able to stay home. And I always wanted to flip houses. And so I thought having my real estate license would help me flip houses, which is actually not true. But it is what it is. So I got my real estate license, worked it for 6 months. Then I had to go back on the road welding. So I actually did a 1.5 years of welding without my family traveling with me, which was the worst part of my life.
Yeah, that would have been hard.
Because I would work for 4 to 6 weeks straight, and then I would take 1 to 3 weeks off, and then I would do that kind of rotation. And I was traveling in Pennsylvania, Ohio, New York, and all these places. And so did that, and then COVID is whenever I was just getting off quitting welding again, because I'd tried it a couple different times, and I quit welding again and came back. I did have my real estate license, and at that point in time, it was when I was like, okay, I'm going to make this thing work at home. And I learned how to burr at that point in time. And then my real estate business kind of started moving forward at that point. Yeah. So professional background will be, I guess, welder and sales guy, like call center guy. And now here I'm a real estate agent and real estate investor. I guess they have no correlation. You know?
So whenever, and you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but whenever you first started getting into real estate, how much did you start with?
I probably had, I think I had 12 to 15,000 saved up.
Okay.
But that was like living money, right? And it was like, okay, I'm going to jump in. I'm going to make real estate work. And you know, when you're a new real estate agent, I'm talking real estate agent here. Okay. When you're a real estate agent, I mean, you only get paid if you sell a house, if the house closes. Well, if I go under contract with you today, it's going to take 30 days minimum for me to get paid. So you have to have some sort of buffer. Yeah. So I would have been fine if I didn't also invest. So of my 12 to 15 grand, whatever I had saved up, I was taking $2,000 to $3,000 and buying this house down, right? Or $1,200 buying this house or whatever. And so because I was trying to do too much with that little bit of money I had saved up, that's what caused me to go back on the road welding. Yeah. And so, you know, also if I would have known some of the things I know now with investing in real estate, there are zero down options that I didn't know about at that point in time.
Yeah.
I don't regret buying those houses, and those houses is what really set up my whole business up.
Yeah.
I just wish I would have known more. And I was like, when I was welding, I was listening to Bigger Pockets like every day.
Yeah.
It's not like I wasn't trying to get the information. I just didn't come across it yet.
Yeah.
You
and
know?
it's also different, like so different from whenever you first start. Like once you can listen all you want, but until you actually do it, then you really see it and it all comes together. And then you're like, oh, it like clicks. At least for me, that's what happened.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
and then you don't realize all the unknowns that you had no idea about too. So you learn
Right.
those big mistakes along the way as well. But
Right.
hopefully they're just not big enough to take you out. But like
Right.
I tell people, like if you do your first flip, for example, and you lose $10,000 on it, it was still worth it because all you finished it and you got all the experience and knowledge. So next time you can go out and make that $10,000 back, make $50,000 on a flip or whatever.
Sure.
So,
And I mean, $10,000 is cheap to go to college.
yeah,
Right.
Exactly.
Like in the grand scheme of things.
yeah,
People go to college, spend $80,000 to $100,000, and they come out making $45,000 a year.
yeah. You might as well go to the school of hard knocks, right?
I mean, exactly.
Yeah.
Your real estate career over the longevity, you're gonna win.
yeah,
You might take a loss here and there, but you're gonna win.
yeah. So, okay. So back up to what you were saying. Your first year you started investing to how, so when was that? And then, like how many years in between to where you are now?
So my very first flip that I did was 2018. 2018.
Okay.
So I did my first flip, and was it? Yeah.
So about 5.5 to 6 years ago.
Yeah. 2018 was when I sold my first flip.
Okay.
That flip, by the way, took me a year and a half to do because I was welding and I was going to California and back.
And you were doing the work on it?
No, I was trying to pay contractors and I got screwed 20 grand by a contractor.
Yeah.
And then I had to finish it out myself.
I feel like everyone has that stupid story in the beginning.
Man,
like one of the first projects, just gosh.
It's insane.
We had a project where we had to have 3 different contractors do it. And I don't know. I think we still ended up ahead, but
yeah,
that was it took forever.
It did. I mean, we made 60 grand on that flip, but it ended up, by the time we sold it, it was right at 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, 60
and then
grand's
your holding
great.
costs and everything. Well, I mean,
Well,
I
that
guess
was
you
profit.
clear that.
That was profit, yeah. But 60 grand's great profit, but over 2 years, it's probably not that great a profit.
Yeah.
Right. But I did learn. And so after I flipped that one, I got my real estate license in 2018 because I was dead set on, oh man, I'm going to become an agent and I'm going to get all these great deals because I'm going to be an agent because I'm just going to flip houses. Well, that was not true. I don't get any better deals as an agent as anybody who's not an agent, you know. I'm probably more networked now, which is fine. Which is what you want, by the way, but it's not because I'm a real estate agent. It's just because I'm a networker, you know.
One thing I was always really impressed with you on is you built the brand. Like, I think you're with Keller Williams, correct?
Yeah.
But you've always had like Pink Homes as your brand, and you have the pink signs and everything. Like, you're very easy to identify. So I always thought you did great with that.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, so Keller Williams, great broker, but they're just a broker. I mean, I could hire any broker, right? Anybody would want my business, because I'm going to pay them $20,000 to $25,000 a year to be a part of the brokerage.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Pink Homes is my business. Keller Williams makes zero difference on my business.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
It's just a formality. I could become my own broker if I wanted to. I don't want to because I don't want that liability. But yeah, so Pink Homes that's the business. Whenever you think real estate, I want you to think Pink Homes, right? If you're looking to buy or sell a house, I want you to think, oh gosh, Pink Homes, Brian does a fantastic job. That's what I want. And so anytime I'm pushing something out there, it's going to be pink and Pink Homes, That's why we have a flamingo, an inflatable flamingo suit. And we do a back to school bash every year, and we give away backpacks and snacks and school supplies. And my wife and I dress up like flamingos, and it's fun. It's Pink Homes, Yeah.
So let's talk about music. I know that's a huge passion of yours.
Yeah.
Tell us more about that.
Yeah. So I guess that's a whole nother side of my story I didn't even mention. So I love music. I'm a songwriter. I have been forever. And as a musician, you don't make any money, period, right? You're always broke. And so I thought, well, gosh, if I could just own a business that I could make passive income, because I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad when I was 18. And Rich Dad, Poor Dad talked about passive income. And I was like, well, if I could do passive income, then I could make music and I don't have to have anybody pay me money. I could just do what I love, right? And so that's kind of what I wanted to do. This is all kind of some big, massive play for me to play music. So weird, right? Years and years of action just so I could play a song or write a song. And so I love, I'm a singer-songwriter. I love writing songs. I love singing. I lead worship at church. Like I love music, right? I love creating it. I play almost every instrument. So I just love music. So in the time of all this happening, I actually went on a couple tours. I've written some songs that some artists have cut, like some country guys, some Christian people. And so I really enjoy music, but it brings me zero money, right? Zero revenue, which I don't think it needs to. That's fine. But yeah, I love music. Yeah. So
I think it's really cool. Like everyone talks about the things they want to do, but then they don't develop a plan to make it happen. But you knew, like, this might not pay anything.
Right.
So I'm going to figure out a way to where I can do what I love no matter what. And that was real estate, providing, your passion.
Yeah. And, I love real estate too. I love the idea of taking a really cruddy house and fixing it and making it super nice. I love that transformation too. But music is just an outlet for me. It's like, it's like my spirit just being able to be free and create something. And like the act of creation is amazing to me. Like you can even talk about making money. Like you can literally make money out of thin air, right? Like this is a crazy concept. I can literally create a song out of thin air. Like it literally comes out of my head, right? It's not existing. Poof, I've written it. Now it exists. Yeah. Money is the same way. And I'm not talking some theological manifest thing, but you literally can create money. So like all the deals that I've done, I've created a couple $1 million worth of assets. I think it's over 3 now that I created out of thin air. Like I didn't have to put all this crazy money into it to make the money. It's so like the act of creating is amazing to me. So I just love creating, right? And so music is just another form of creation. Drawing is another form of creating to me, and I just enjoy that. I enjoy that aspect of it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
How important, and you kind of touched on this earlier, but how important is your faith with business?
Oh, I mean, to me, it's central to who I am. I mean, you will never be able to dissect who I am in God from who I am as a businessman. And I think if you do that, I'm probably not a very good Christian, right? Like being a follower of Christ is one of the biggest honors of my life. And so everything that I live out is going to be centered around that. Every business decision I make is going to be centered around that. I'm not going to take advantage or swindle somebody, even to the point of like in my real estate business, like I will almost grenade deals my own to have somebody else not have something bad happen, like where there are times where I'm a real estate agent where I could like purposely withhold information that would keep a deal together, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be like, hey, I want you to understand this is this, this is this, this is this. I don't care which way you decide to go, but I want you to know these are the options you have. And if you want to back out of the contract, if we can at that point in time, then we need to back out, right? I don't care that I'm losing commission on this, but I care about you as a person. And I think to me, that's just who I am. So to me, it's interchange. It's like, that's just who I am as a person. Yeah. I don't know how else to say that.
No, I love that. And I love that you brought up, you do prayer meetings in your daily meetings, right?
Yes, absolutely.
I thought that was really cool. I think somehow I'd like to implement that at some point with our business.
And they don't have to take that long. I mean, we're not talking like some 6-minute prayer. It's like a 30-second to a minute prayer. I mean, man, it takes no time at all. And it's okay if we don't hire only Christians. Like, it's okay if you don't want to, if you're not a believer,
participate or whatever.
Yeah, sure. That's fine. Yeah. You'll sit there for a minute and you might not even close your eyes. That's fine. I'll still pray a blessing on you. Yeah. You know? And so it's huge. Yeah. I think it takes a minute of your time and you know, the gratitudes to me and just exercising a gratitude and exercising a business win from the previous day is life-changing, really, for me as a person and also in our business. I mean, I think a person who's grateful for what they have, even for as little as what they have, I think that person, I want to be around those people. I don't want to be around the people who are constantly
complaining about what they don't have.
Yeah. The complainers don't last very long in pink homes. They just don't. They're going to weed themselves out because I don't tolerate that. Yeah. You know, I just won't do it. So gratitude's a big deal.
Yeah. So Brian, is there anything that you're scared to do, but you know it'll help you grow the most with your business?
Scared to do. Because I'm a red personality type, I would say I'm not scared of anything. I think my wife is probably the one who's like, oh gosh, don't ask Brian to do that. Like, I'm the guy who's going to jump out of a plane. I'm not scared to do much. You know, I don't think, maybe scared is not the right word, but conscious of, and really honestly, like the biggest thing that would help my business early on would have been so much better for me, and even now will be so much better, is being able to have those hard conversations with people when the expectations are not being met. And I know I talked a lot about that as far as like transparency and accountability. I had to put that in place because, sad to say, I'm kind of scared to address people, you know, like, and it's weird because I'm the business owner. I should be that guy who's like, you know, hey, you're not performing, like you're fired. I'm just not that guy, you know. If I was more like that guy, I'd probably have a better business maybe, you know. Not that I want that culture, but having hard conversations is so difficult, especially when people aren't measuring up to the expectations. So I think if I did that better, I'd have a better business. And I don't know how to sum that up better, you know.
No, I get it. I think based on the sounds of it, maybe you're not the person that needs to be doing it. Maybe you need someone with HR
you know
experience.
What? You're right. You're absolutely right. That is not my role, is it? Yeah. Like, I should be this big thinker. Yeah. This is where we're going as a business. I should not be doing that day to day. You're right.
I have a friend that he changed it over to where, like, he talks about this, and I don't know if I completely agree with it, but you have to have someone that everyone loves in the company and someone that everyone kind of not hates, but like a good guy
Respect,
and a bad guy.
Yeah.
And so you're the leader. You want everyone to like you as a leader. Yeah. But then there's someone else that can go and do the firing and do like some of the dirtier work for you, to where you don't have to mess with that and you're not seen in that light. But I don't know if that's helpful at all to you or not, but I thought that was really interesting once they explained that to me.
Yeah, I feel like it's construction is the biggest issue for my business by far. Yeah, I feel like now that I'm actually subbing stuff out and I'm going to be getting a GC, I think that will solve that problem. Yeah, and my construction manager will solve that problem too. But you're absolutely right. Yeah, that's a very good insight for sure. That's worth coming up here for. Yeah.
So what's one of the best lessons you've learned in your life?
I would say one of the best lessons I've learned in, I guess life is applicable. It's probably resilience. Like, I'm probably not the person that's going to get it right at first and be perfect. Now, anybody who looks from the outside perspective of my life will probably disagree with that, because I've heard this multiple times. Like, anything you touch is always perfect and it's always great the first time you do it. And I understand what they're saying, because I do land on my feet and I'm successful in most of the things that I do. And if I don't, I just quit. So maybe that's the secret. Just quit the things you really stink at. But resilience is a massive thing. Like, even I go back to like sports, like I would repeat the same, like I was a pitcher, like I would just pitch the same pitch over and over and over for muscle memory. Or for wrestling, if I was doing one particular move, like it's muscle memory. You know, I just, like when I was in band, rehearsing for hours and hours and hours, the same little thing over and over and over. Like, I'm super resilient, you know, like I'm very, very, very rarely will you ever see me down or negative. Like, I'm not that guy. I'm super resilient. And so I think that's a really great life lesson I've learned, is it's okay if it's not perfect, just do it. And when you get hit in the nose and you get knocked down, just get back up. Absolutely. You know, if you can just keep taking those hits and get back up every single time, you will win. And then eventually the public's like, gosh, you just can't beat that guy, right? Yeah. Might as well join him because you can't beat him, you know? So I think resilience is massive, that I've learned.
Yeah. And I've heard that as well. Like, people give me crap about like, oh, like everything you're doing is great or whatever. Right. But I mean, there's things that do suck. Like, I'm not perfect at all. And, you know, I kind of do what you do. If something's not working very well and I've tried, you know, maybe changing it up a few different ways, I just will give up on it and move on. Just move on next time. Like, I think you put like 5 things out there, maybe one of them's really successful.
Sure.
So you just got to try a lot of different things. That's the advice I would give to someone that's, you know, wants to be an entrepreneur and is trying. Just try a bunch of different things, get as much experience as you can, and go after it.
Yeah, and it needs to have fun. You need to have life in it too. Like, I'm at the point in business right now where if it doesn't give me joy, I'm not going to do it. You know, like, you know, Pink Homes has different streams of business. So we have long-term rentals, we have short-term rentals, we have construction, we have the construction turns our short-term rentals, long-term rentals, and our flips, which is another arm of business. And then I have me being a real estate agent. So I have 5 arms of business, you know. I didn't start Pink Homes with that intention. It just happens to be that way. Yeah. You know, it was kind of a necessity to add this thing or this thing or this thing. And now we've got 5 arms of business. Well, if I've got something like, for example, going back into what we want to do, the luxury short-term rentals, I've landed on that because it gives me energy. I enjoy that thing, you know, and I could be spending my same energy and effort pursuing some other endeavor, but I choose not to do that because I would rather do this thing because it gives me energy. Yeah. I do have resilience and I can do anything. I mean, even if you got a ditch full of poop or whatever, and you got to get in there with a shovel, I'm probably the first guy who's going to jump in it. Right. Like that. I'm okay doing that. That's who I am as a person. But if I had my choice of doing that or doing something different, I'm probably going to do something different, you know, but I've got the resilience to do it. But now I get to pick and choose the things that give me energy. So, you know, that's another thing that I think it's important to do. Don't do something you hate because you're making money. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. It's not,
that's not worth it.
They're just not worth it.
It's just not worth it. It's not worth your mental. I mean, if you have to do it for 1 to 2 years, okay, do it. Grind it out. I mean, I did that. I ground it out. I mean, gosh, I added 85. I had like 95, almost 100 doors. I think it was 98 in like 2 years. I ground the thing out. And that wasn't like turnkey, like rent ready. These were like stuff that we had to turn out, you know, like, but now
that's incredible that you did that.
Yeah. And now that we're past that, I'm like, I don't have to do that anymore. And, you know, I look at it now, I look back at my former self. I look at myself now, I'm like, gosh, Brian, you're soft. You're lazy, you know, and I'm not. I'm just choosing to work in a different avenue, you know. Yeah. So, but do stuff that gives you energy.
Yeah. Work smarter, not harder.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And have fun. Gosh, it's not worth. Your life is so short. It's not worth putting up with stuff you don't want to do. Yeah. You know, hire it out or just get rid of it. because if it doesn't bring you joy or enjoyment, like, and this is not some self-help, like do what makes you feel good, like go out and party and do all this crazy living. Like, that's not what I'm trying to say. But in business, you have to, your candle being burned at both ends of the wick, which I've been doing for 10 years now. You will burn out. And I just got past burnout probably 2 weeks ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so I'm still at the tail end of it. And it's because I have ground this thing out, you know, and I'm at the point now, it's like, okay, I can actually take a break. I can relax just a little bit and focus on the things that actually bring me energy. You know, I don't have to be that, because I was in the mentality of get off the road welding, and now I got to do whatever I can just to survive and make money. And I did that, and I lived in that mode for years of like, at any given point in life, I'm just going to go belly up. And you live that way, and you're in fight or flight mode, and you have to do whatever you got to do. I get that, and I respect the entrepreneur that does that, and you have to do that at certain times.
Especially in the beginning.
In the beginning, you have to do it. You have to put on your blinders. Everyone else is going to the lake. Everyone else has a house. Dude, I owned 3 rental properties before I even had my own personal house.
Wow.
And you know the first house that I bought? It was a repossessed double wide that I bought for like $47,000 that I moved my family into. My rentals were nicer than the stinking house that I owned.
Yeah.
And I built that my mortgage was like $200 a month or $250 or something in that neighborhood. And I built my entire business in that double wide, you know, and I owned 98 properties, and I lived in a double wide that was repossessed, and I didn't even change the flooring. I still had the original carpet in the stupid thing.
Wow.
And then it wasn't until like 6 months before we moved out that I actually got the flooring installed. I had 98,
and then you couldn't even enjoy it because you moved out 6 months later.
You know, I made it a rental, and then the renter trashed it. So, you know, there you go. But no, it's like I ground the thing out, and my wife is such a trooper. She knows the vision. She sees it. She's the best part about my life, and the best kept secret of the business. She's not even a secret now because, I forgot about that. That's another thing we do is property management. We just launched that phase of our business too. My wife does property management. And so she manages in like the past, I think within 2 months, she's managing over 30 properties for people already.
Nice.
I mean, it's great. Anyway, her support has been unreal. You know, not even support, not even like, Brian, you can do this, but like rolling up your sleeves, and like, you got 2 kids and your husband works 12 to 16 hours a day, and you're raising 2 kids in a 5th wheel. Like, that takes some true grit.
Yeah, it does.
You know, you're 2,000 miles away from anybody that you know, raising 2 toddlers, basically a single mom. You know, that takes some true grit. Yeah. And so we've definitely ground the thing out. And now we're at the point, and we're not even arrived by any means, but we're at the point where we're somewhat stable, you know.
And you're starting to enjoy like the fruits of your labor, right?
Yes,
yeah.
Right. So we spent way too much on this house in Joplin because my wife wanted it, and that's fine. It's just money, right?
Yeah,
whatever.
It's just money.
And so we bought the house, and it's on Shoal Creek. So I walk out my back door, and I take a little stroll down the Shoal Creek, and I learned how to fish. I never liked fishing before. I probably still don't, but I do it 3 to 4 times a week.
Are you still doing those cold plunges?
I do cold plunges, yeah. And so, you know, like, you enjoy the fruits of your labor.
Yeah.
You know, there is a time where when you do grind it out that you will be able to enjoy the fruits of your labor, and you should enjoy the fruits of your labor, you know. So now it's at the point of be resilient, build your business, and once you get there, do the things that make you happy. You know, not like entitlement to be a crazy liver, like living in sin, but like do the things that bring you joy. Like, man, my family is important. You know, I'm still up at 5 a.m. I still work till 6 o'clock every night, and then I put the kids to bed, and I'm still working till probably 10 o'clock at night after my kids go to bed. I'm still putting in, 16-hour days, but it's not welding 16 hours anymore. It's a different capacity now, but I'm still grinding it out. And so there's like, I start feeling lazy if I'm like, oh man, you only put 12 hours in the day. Like, gosh, you're so lazy, Brian. You know, I'd like to get to the point where I run my business of like an hour a day. Yeah. And I think we're close, you know, once we stabilize all of our units, but that's where we're probably not this year. It'll be next year when we get to that point and we could be financially independent, you know, that's the goal. Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm. Why make the money if you can't enjoy it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So how can our audience connect with you?
Oh, good question. I would say on Facebook, it's Pink Homes Real Estate. And you can also just contact me directly on my cell phone. It's 417-592-8568. And I would be happy to help any way you can, any way you need it.
Awesome. So do you have a final message for our audience?
Yeah, I would say the biggest takeaway I could encourage you would be take time and purposely write your goal out. Purposely create the life you want. Because you can create any life you choose. You absolutely have the ability to do that. It's when you put it on paper and you say, this is a life I want. And it doesn't have to be this year. It could be 10 years from now. What life do you want? Write that down on a piece of paper. And when you have that on a piece of paper, and then you can start actually making your plan to what's on your paper, I think that's when your life will change. If you want a Lambo, that's fine. All it takes is money to buy a Lambo. So just come up with a plan to make the money. And I know I'm making light of making money because everyone makes that a massive central focus, but really making money is quite simple when you break it down. If you have a product that somebody wants, they're going to pay you for that product. So just come up with a product that people want, right? It's pretty simple, and it's when you think of it that way. But when you put your goal on a piece of paper, make it that's something truly central to who you are as a person and where you want to be in business, and then come up with a plan to execute that goal. And then work it backwards. Say, okay, well, if I want this in 5 years, then where would I need to be in 2? Where would I need to be in 1 year? And then break it down to quarterly, break it down to monthly, and then break it down to weekly. And even if you don't hit your 5-year goal, or even if you don't hit your 1-year goal, you're going to be way further along than you would ever be if you didn't write it down on a piece of paper and put some metrics behind it. And I would say one final thing is the things that you track will change. If you don't track it, you probably don't care about it and it won't change. And that goes for weight loss, that goes for income, that goes for a specific type of business. So you need to track the things that are important for your business. So write down your goal and write down the things that are important to track and start tracking those things daily. And I know that sounds like micromanagement, but if you track it daily, you will be astonished at what your life will be in a year.
That is absolute gold. I couldn't agree more with everything that you said. That's awesome. Well, thank you guys for watching the Kurima Podcast, and we'll see you on the next video.